Alright everybody, this is Eric Basir, aka the Black Rhino. Here I have a little narration of how I did the first cover. This is a cover that I may change, but this is probably going to be the cover for the graphic novel. I wanted to show you how it started in Clip Studio Paint. As you see in the light blue, that was my draft. And right here, I'm just building the bottom half of the cover. Apologize for all those lines. There's something going on with the software I use. I'm using Snaps Pro screen capture, and it hasn't been updated for many years, so I think we're just seeing little bugs. But anyways, this is the ground, what I call the ground, and I just drew the main ink for it and then filled it in with the color, kind of like a earthy brown type color. Eventually I changed that actually at the end, but it's pretty cool to see the process. And basically I just made a selection and filled it with the brown. And here I'm loading another selection, and then on top of that I make a layer called an adjustment layer, and I'm using a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and I drop the lightness down. This is as far as I go with rendering, as they say in comics. As far as Badin and the Secret of the Saami, I use a very flat, old school appearance for the color. And more of that is just because I'm not much of an artist, so I have to, work with what I can to make things pretty. So you see the shading. And I loaded these characters from a draft layer, and then I'm just refining them slightly. And this is Badin in the middle with Princess Sophia Albertina and Crown Prince Gustav III in the hat. And they are walking in the wilderness, in the woods, in Sweden, 18th century. And there's my timer there. It's telling me I'm idle. Anyways, so I dropped my draft layer just so I can see what I'm dealing with, and I'm about to draw trees. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of trouble with these trees, and there's rulers that you can use in Clip Studio Paint to make nice straight lines, and sometimes I use them. But in this case, I don't want to use them. I want the trees to have an imperfect line, including imperfect line weight and angle, because it just looks more fun to me that way. It could be perfect though. I just don't want to do that. But as you see though, I do go back and forth a lot. And composition, as far as shapes and angles, overall are very important to me. So I want everything descending down or up into the three children, because they are the main characters of the story, the most important ones. So we have to be pointing attention to them at all times. I'll fast forward a little bit more. This is actually very fast here now. 10 times. But it looks like here I've got it. You see I'm building in thickness at the bottom where the trunks are. Of course, down near the ground there's going to be less light, so you have to have more darkness. And you'll see I'm going to bring up a reference photo just to give me a little guidance when it comes to the leaves. And I recommend not using references for copying unless you actually need to draw a specific sculpture, a landmark, but still do it yourself. Just use it for an idea. You don't want to copy other people's work, especially when you're doing this kind of work. So I'm just thickening them up and getting those trees just right. And I make a layer for leaves. And as you see, here's my reference layer on the left, reference picture on the left. And I'm just blocking it up. We don't need all that detail. As you see, I'm looking around, squinting. Actually, you can't see me squinting, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm seeing how blocked out the trees are. So it's as if I took my brush and dunked it in the paint, the ink well, the India ink bottle, and just started blotching it down and coming in with these finer strokes. The idea is to give an idea of your gesture, a gesture of what's really there. And in the beginning, it never looks pretty, but when you finish it, it definitely looks better. And I'm not saying that this is a good drawing, it's a great drawing, but you know, I do the best I can. So you know, I'm just going in here trying to get a little more, and I'm trying to connect the dark shadow with the middle tone areas and some of the highlights. And again, we want to have the attention being drawn to the characters, the three children there walking in the woods. And I also, you know, wanted to give the reader something of a menacing, maybe fear, and maybe you can tell, but it's almost like there's claws about to pounce on them, and maybe some angry looking evil eyes with a mouth at the bottom. These are all aspects of the graphic novel that you'll see. The graphic novel is done right now. I just have to finish coloring it, but the cover pretty much sums up the idea of danger. Yeah, and I had to be careful because, you know, the perspective that I'm looking at, it's like almost like below Worm's Eye view. It's like an underground view. Hence, you see that brown area at the bottom. So you got to make sure that no color shows through the bottom of the trees. No highlights. So here I used an adjustment layer like you saw at the bottom in the ground area, and just this is, like I said, this is as far as I go with the rendering with this type of shadowing. And I just paint in that area there. And then next, I think I'm going to go in and get the green, color leaves. And I find a nice green, kind of like evergreen, but not too green, not too dreary. And so kind of give it a nice mid-tone type of green. And later on, I got rid of that green at the bottom. That just was, that was a mistake. But and then I go with a lighter green, bringing the value up of the green, because those leaves are kind of facing the sky, so they should be lighter. Yeah. And now I do the sky, and what I wanted to use the colors of the Swedish flag in the sky, and they're actually perfect because for this cover, because it's yellow and blue. So I use it from a postcard that I made sure I got the right blue and the right yellow. Nice blue sky. And as you'll see, I'll go back and forth kind of changing out the yellow, but eventually I just leave it like that because it's really nice. It looks like a setting sun, a rising sun, a bright sun. And pretty much that's at the end there. And I load in here a color or a specific kind of orange that I wanted. I tried that out, and that looked okay, but I just kept, I couldn't, wasn't sure why it wasn't working, you know, for me. And changed the color of the text, that didn't do it. And of course I got rid of that extra green there, that helped a lot. It was very distracting. And then I try a white, it looks okay too. Again, I like that blue and that yellow. I want the Swedish flag in there. I want the colors of that flag. It's very important. So there you have it, and that's how it looks finished. So I believe that this will be it for me on this. You know, I like this. I really, really like this. I like the underground kind of cavern here. Underneath them, it's kind of, there's a sun, there's a sky. Is it water? Is it underground? Is it water? Who knows? But you know, I thought you'd like to see this, and make sure you stay up to date at badinsecret.com. Thanks a lot.